Hey, so do me a favor and head over to pageantlaunch.com. We are starting the world's first dedicated pageant review site to make the pageant industry safe, transparent, and fair. Three things that I know it is most of the time, but it's not like that all of the time. So head over to pageantlaunch.com, enter your email address, it's completely free, and let's get you to this episode. Good evening, everyone. Taken from the Pageant Project, and I have someone I just saw, was it 5 days ago, 6 days ago? Natalie Carley. Natalie, welcome to the show. Welcome back.
Thank you so much. Thanks for having me back. I honestly didn't think I'd ever get another invite back, to be honest. So
You left that much of an impact, did you?
Yeah, sure.
It's always good to go noticed rather than unnoticed, especially in the world of pageantry. All right, so Natalie is director of, I'm going to try that word, director of Miss Voluptuous.
Perfect.
And founder of the Pageant Planner Co. Natalie, do you want to rattle off quickly everything else that you are? Because I know you're a lot of things. I've forgotten your title as well.
So many people would agree with you. I'm Royal International Miss Role Model England. I'm also the founder of Q4 Collective and Q4Volunteer.com.
Okay, so the first question is, why do you hate free time so much?
I'm one of these people. Okay, wow, let's just dive in really deep, really quickly. I'm one of these people that
I know who you are, so we don't have to waste time with all the pleasantries like how are you and all that. But yeah, let's go right to the...
I feel I'm one of these people that I feel kind of a little bit lost and like a little bit of a void if I don't have like lots going on. And I found that actually a lot of people who have previously suffered like from anxiety, get the words out, feel the same. So kind of when you stop, everything seems to stop. And that can be quite unnerving. So I like to just keep juggling, just keep it going, keep the energy going, and it saves me from driving myself up the wall. So
is that a common thing in pageantry? I mean, you've interacted with pageant girls just as much as I have. That seems to be a really common theme. Like literally, if I stop doing stuff, I don't exist. Is that?
Yes.
Have you found it to be quite a common trait?
Exactly that. Yeah, I actually have. And to be honest, it's mostly people in pageant land I have found that with. So yeah, I think you've nailed it there.
Yeah, we all hate free time. Yeah, Nicola has said yes, Natalie, and agreed. So guys, if you have any questions for Natalie, whether you're tuning in as one of her delegates, a sister queen, a fan of the pageant planner, or just a good human being, then just put the comments in Facebook or on YouTube, and I'll pass them on to Natalie. But Natalie, why don't you catch us up with, I don't know, let's go with what an average day in the life looks like. I mean, you have so many things going on.
Yeah.
So how do you manage to balance it all? Like, how do you know when you're supposed to be doing something for pageantry versus something for your own system versus something for something else?
Initially, I had to make lists for everything. And it was literally the list making process that led me to creating the pageant planner. But now I kind of work off intuition. So if I know that there's something that needs my attention, whether it's social media, whether it's emails, whether it's applications, whether it's packaging, planner orders, I kind of just, I get a feel for it and like what needs to be done. But in the beginning, it was a real struggle. I really did struggle to kind of keep everything in order and keep myself organized. But yeah, to be honest, I do it a little bit off intuition now.
Well, you've been doing it for a while, so that makes sense. It's sort of become more automatic. I should have asked this before. Do you actually have a copy of the planner near to hand?
I do. I'll have to go off camera to grab it, but I can definitely.
That's fine. Do you want to grab it? Let's do a bit of a show and tell.
Sure.
Go for it. All right, so guys, I'll get Natalie to bring the planner on. I know a lot of you watching probably either know of it or actually have it. In fact, if you have one, let us know in the comments. But a lot of people have said really good things about the planner, so I'm going to get Natalie to show it to you. I've actually never seen it in person myself, so this will be a good chance for us to see what's what. Natalie, I'm just saying a lot of people watching probably either have the planner or definitely know of it. So I thought this would be a good chance for people to actually see it. So do you want to do a bit of show and tell? What I might actually do for this whilst you do that, I'll blow up your video a bit bigger so that when you show it, people can actually see it a bit better. All right, so I'm still here, but do you want to do a bit of show and tell with a planner?
Sure. So this is the original planner. It's called This Is My Year. And this planner is ideal for people who are still competing, who haven't won their title yet. So even if it's like national or international level competition, it's a really good all-rounder product. And there are lots of different sections in it. And the real focus is on mindset, because I know that a lot of people, having spoken to them about their pageant journey, have found it you get to a point in it where you feel like you've either hit a roadblock or you're starting to get a little bit overwhelmed. And certainly towards the end of the prep journey and towards the beginning of gearing up for competition, you start to lose track of like fundraising and appearances. So I was looking for something that I would use, that I would benefit from, and I couldn't find a printed product. And there were lots of gorgeous options for, print out yourself and create your own binder, which I thought was amazing. Yeah. But as someone who is, a little bit grab it and dash out the door kind of thing, I knew that, the leaves would come loose, things would get torn out, and I've got 2 children as well. So they like to go through stuff. And I just had a bit of a fear of losing the pages. So with this, it is wire bound, so the pages are really secure. The paper is really thick quality paper. It's not going to fall out. And so I just started with one of my favorite quotes by Misty Copeland: "Start unknown, finish unforgettable." There are like a lot of kind of inspiring quotes throughout. At the beginning of every section, there's an inspiring quote. So you can just put your information in the front here. This planner belongs to title, email, and emergency contact, just in case you misplace it, but hopefully you won't. And then there are sections for like mindset mastery. So there are things like my 10 favorite affirmations, things I'm grateful for, inspirational people I admire. And then you've got contacts. So for your pageant team, your sponsors, your sister queens, and the all-important 2-page budget plan. There are sections for competition, wardrobe. I'll just get you a little bit closer because my screen's glowing it out there.
Yep,
there you
great.
go.
Yep.
And then just things like, a review of the month, favorite memories, things that you learned, goals for next month. And I think it's really important to do a monthly review so that you know where you're at, where you need to be, if you've hit your targets yet. There's like a monthly overview as well with notes section.
Nice.
And it's completely undated, so your best year ever starts when you're ready.
Okay, so does it actually have, this is probably just my mistake now that I'm thinking about it, does it actually have, it's not a calendar then, is it? I mean, it has a calendar section, but it's actually, because my planner has a calendar in one. So when I saw Pageant Plan, I was thinking, oh, it's like a daily organizer as well, but it's not that. It's more specifically to help you plan out and flesh out your plan for the year, for your reign, or for your run at the title.
Exactly that.
Okay, perfect. Well, you've got a lot of people here. Guys, if you have any questions about the planner, now would be the perfect time to ask. I do have one, Natalie, which is if people want it, how do they get it, and what countries can you ship to?
Well, we have predominantly shipped to the States, so we know we can do that, and we rush shipping, so it literally goes from my door to my client's door within 2 to 3 days, so it's very fast. We have shipped we can ship to Australia, we've shipped to Canada, obviously all across the UK and Ireland, so we know we can get them to Europe as well. We have had inquiries about shipping to South Africa and India, which we know we can do also, so you can get it at thepageantplannerco.com, which is my website, or you can head to our Facebook page as well, and that's the Pageant Planner Co.
Okay, Pageant Planner, say that again, pageantplannerco.com?
Yes.
Okay. All right. Where is the most sort of remote location or unexpected location that you've shipped one to?
Guam.
Guam, really?
Yeah.
That's so funny. Just because I had an application for my book from Miss Guam Earth, so that's been on my mind. got to say I'm ashamed I don't know where Guam actually is. But do you know where it is?
Yes, I do. It's quite near to you actually. It's in Micronesia. It's actually a USA territory, but it is much closer to you than it is the USA. I think it's like a 32-hour flight or something from the States, depending on where you are. It's a crazy long way.
Yeah, that sounds like Australia in general. It's 32 or 48 hours away from everything and everyone, although in 2020 that hasn't been so much of an issue. Okay, so that is the planner. And Natalie, did you say there are different versions of it, or is it just the one version?
So this one is the World Domination Planner, and it's been specifically designed for the big competitions. Hi, Jules. So it's been designed for the bigger competitions. So there are, things about media prep, press release prep. There are a lot more sections for competition wardrobe, for appearance wardrobe. There's training notes. There's a much thicker section at the back that's about training and prep. There is a 12-week workout tracker instead of a 6-week workout tracker. There is a lot more of the kind of travel section where you can keep your travel information up to date. We've increased that. So there's just a lot more in there, and it's much more geared to that kind of bigger level competition. Also appreciating that anyone going to a bigger competition is likely to be crowned at national level first. So there is a handover section. There's a bit about leaving a legacy, things that you tell your successor, and pearls of wisdom to pass on, and that kind of thing.
Wow.
And ways to plan out your handover speech as well, so you don't kind of do what I did and just ramble for a minute on stage. You hand over your title.
So the world domination one it's mainly aimed at, let's say, a national queen going to compete at internationals. Is that right?
Yeah.
Right. Okay. And if there's someone who's, let's say, competing at a national competition, they should get the other version. What's the other version called?
The other version is called This Is My Year.
This Is My Year.
But we also have Living the Dream, which is for if you have already won your title and you're not progressing to another level of competition, because obviously the sections will vary. Once you've already won your title, you're probably not going to need sections for competition wardrobe and that kind of thing. So we've got Living the Dream, which is perfect for someone who's won their national or international title. Then we've got the one, obviously, that we're working on called Make It Rain, and that's specifically for Lindsay, Miss Earth. And that's going to be a combination of all of the planners. And then we've got the Like a Boss planner, which is just coming out. And that is for anybody inside or outside pageantry who just wants to boss their life and nail their mindset. So I'm really, really excited for that one. And it looks a little bit different. So it's not.
Speaking of Miss Earth, you've got Laura, the director of Miss Earth.
Thank you so much, Laura, for setting
Laura.
me up. She's amazing, absolutely incredible. And she's up for Director of the Year and has just won Director of the Year as well, I believe. So go and vote for her on Pageant Planet.
Well, has she won already? In which case, we don't need to vote for her. But if she hasn't,
recently won a different award. I can't remember which competition it was. I'm sorry, but she did. She's incredible. So what a role model for the rest of us.
Yeah, I saw it. I'm struggling to keep up with it because I haven't been on. Well, I haven't been on social as much as I would normally be. Laura said, "Thank you so much." Look, Laura, if you've won, congratulations, and if you haven't won yet, then I'm sure you will win. So, Natalie, I think it's your microphone or something is rustling against the pageant planner. So just watch out because it's making or it might be the sound of rustling the pages.
Maybe, yeah. I want to say I'm not very technical, but that wouldn't be true. So there we go.
No, I just think you're rustling the pages, and because they're such thick quality, we can hear the rustling. So just watch out for that.
Breeze in here, yeah.
Yeah, no, I can tell even from the video because when you get like flimsy, cheap stuff, and it kind of like it folds. I don't know if you can. It's flimsy, whereas that quality paper, you can see that it actually kind of stays quite rigid as you turn it over. So you can see the quality even in video.
As a stationery enthusiast, there's nothing worse than writing on a page and the pen bleeds through, especially if you're trying to pack a lot of information in. You don't want things to start getting splotchy on the other side. So that's why we went for the much thicker paper. It's almost like cardstock. So yeah, it feels nice.
Yeah, it looks like it. Yeah, but it's appropriate for pageantry as well. I think, when everything you want it to look amazing, you don't want your planner to be sort of bleeding through. I think it just would ruin the whole look. Okay, so that's the pageant planner. How long have you been doing that for, Natalie?
I started working on it. So I started doing the research several years ago for it, and just kind of put it on the back burner. Like I didn't realize that it was something I could do. And then back in, it must have been September last year, maybe the end of August, I started making inquiries with people who had stationery businesses who could collaborate with me and, make it work, because I had no idea how to do it. And the response that I came across again and again was, pageants, people do that, or people still do that, or is that still a thing?
Mm.
And I think like a lot of them just decided it really wasn't worth their time. So I taught myself. Right. It took me, we didn't release it until January. So it took me kind of 3 or 4 months to nail the content, what was going to be in there, and then nail the design. So every single page is individually designed, individually color coded. There wasn't a way to make everything the same color. So it was a process for sure. And then finding a printer who would work with me, who would give me the quality that I wanted and wasn't going to, charge through the roof. That was another journey in itself. So it has been a journey, but we've hit some really incredible milestones. We've got it in some really incredible competitions as well. So I'm just really super grateful for the support of the pageant community across the world. It's been phenomenal.
You mentioned that you've had most of your sales in America. Have you been able to work out why there's more of a demand for it in America than probably anywhere else?
I think that people, I think this is a conversation we may have had on the podcast, that
we did. I'm giving you another chance to have another go at it. Why not?
American pageant girls really do, not to say that UK pageant girls and other pageant girls don't give it their 100% all. Oh, my director's on. How lush. Hi, Ollie. Not to
now
say
you have
that.
To be proper.
Well, she knows what she signed up for. I just think that
what she signed up for, what you signed up for.
You know what she signed up for. But no, I think that there seems to be a lot more hype about pageantry in the States. I know that if you speak to girls from the UK, certainly the same frustration that we come across again and again is that people outside of our community really don't take it very seriously, and so it becomes difficult then to be taken seriously in general. But I just think it's a numbers game, to be honest. There are a lot more pageants, a lot more systems, and a lot more competitors in the States because it's so vast and so diverse. It's phenomenal.
Yeah, it's seen more legitimately, I think, in the States, from having interviewed people, obviously, in the States versus the UK and Australia. Mm-hmm. If you are a title holder of any sort of esteem in the United States, people actually recognize you. Yes. Like just if you're out to dinner or something like that, whereas I don't think in UK or Australia that would actually happen at all, unless maybe you were a Miss Universe, and I don't know. But exactly the level of I guess professionalism in the pageant industry in the US is still, I think, ahead probably of most every other country. So that's not a surprise. Okay, so that's the pageant planner, and that's huge. So guys, if you want to order one, I'm sure it'd make a perfect Christmas present for a pageant addict. So head over to the pageant planner. It's pageantplannerco.com.
Yeah,
right?
thepageantplannerco.com.
It's
okay. You're doing fine. You're doing great, Adrian. I'm going to coach you through this. We're going to be okay.
Oh, my brain. Okay, so go there, buy the planner. Now let's talk about the other thing that takes your time, apart from being a title holder yourself, which is Miss Voluptuous.
Yeah.
Why did you start that? How is it going? Tell us everything about Miss Voluptuous. Honestly,
I don't know where to start. It's always really overwhelming to talk about because it's incredible. The journey has been mad. It hasn't been without its bumps in the road, don't get me wrong. And I'm sure any pageant director will be able to say the same. And I think in any community or industry where there is a level of competition or where women are seemingly seemingly, and I do say the word seemingly with emphasis, pitted against each other. And that was a question that I was asked in a radio interview I was completely not prepared for. Why would you call yourself, an empowerer of women when you pit them against each other? And I didn't know what to say. I froze. I have a great answer for that.
I could have told you. Yeah, I could have told you what to say.
Well, now my response would be, you wouldn't ask that to a male athlete at the top of his game. When he competes in the Olympics, you're not asking him how he feels about being pitted against somebody else. It's no different from a high-level sport, in my opinion. It's not a question that men at the top of their game who are vying for a promotion, who are athletes, it's not a question that they get asked. It's only a question that pageant girls seem to get asked because there's a perception that it's about a physical aesthetic, when it's just not, So how did it begin? Great question. I competed in a plus size system in 2015 and had an absolutely cracking time. And it was glitz and glam and gorgeous girls and so much fun. And the only thing for me was that, I didn't have the same stage presence and confidence that the other girls had. But I did have a huge passion for volunteering. I had a huge passion for giving back. I've been volunteering since I was 19, before I even knew pageants existed. And, really wanted to do more. And so I started looking around for pageants that had kind of that platform basis more, but in an environment that was still safe to me, because I'd started pageants. I wasn't even particularly way into the plus size category. I think I was about a size UK 16. But I had no confidence. I had two very young children. I was in, very open about the fact that I was in quite a toxic marriage, and I just didn't have very much confidence at all. And it was just a way for me to meet people who were like me, who had the same goals and aspirations as me, but in a safe environment. So it was just about kind of creating something that combined the two, something that was a little bit different that hadn't been done yet. So I combined, an emphasis on platform and service and volunteering with, a safe space for plus size women. And, the pageant world as a whole is very diverse and very accepting of contestants of all sizes. And I think it's really important that as a director of a plus size system that I recognise that. This wasn't about kind of creating a divide. It was very much about helping women to fall in love with pageantry the same way that I did, in an environment that felt safe for them, and release them into the world like fledglings, and see where they wanted to go from there. And some of the ladies who have been through the Miss V system have gone on to compete in other systems and win other titles, and it's beautiful to see. I always maintain that every woman who's been through the doors at Miss V is phenomenal in her own way, and I stand by that wholly. And we've been going for 4 years now. The contestants have raised, I think, over £15,000 for various charities across the year. They've launched thousands and thousands of volunteer hours and generally made a difference in their local and wider communities. And it's just something that is an absolute joy to do day in, day out, and something that I'm very, very proud of.
So on that note, what are you most proud of in terms of having your own system now, running it for a few years? I mean, if you had to narrow it down to 1, 2, or 3 things, what are you most proud of, either yourself accomplishing, the system, or the girls who've been through your system?
I think a combination of the two would be us reaching international level. So I believe we are one of the first systems to have started in the UK that will be holding an international pageant stateside. I don't know. I don't know of many other systems that have started in the UK, if any other than Miss World, that have done that. So that was a massive achievement for us as a system, and for me as a director. I know that there were a lot of naysayers who kind of didn't think that it had the staying power to make it. But how could I not be motivated to push harder when I have such incredible women making that job so easy? So they keep me motivated with their integrity, their determination, and their advocacies. They are so inspiring that I had to keep pushing and do more and offer more for them. And now, I've got queens. I've got queens in Guam. I've got a queen in Australia. I've got queens in the States. I've got queens in Europe now. We've got our first queen from Africa. We've got Miss Ghana that we're about to announce any day now. So it's the vision is growing. The system is growing, and it's mind blowing for me that we're here and we've grown so much in a relatively short space of time, and it's all owing to the women who make the system, and that's the contestants wholly.
What is the vision for the system, Natalie? I mean, I'm sure it's evolving because it sounds like you sort of didn't know how far you could reach, and then you got there, then you can reach further. So what is the vision at the moment?
It's a pageant, 100% a pageant, but more than that, it's an empowerment program. Like I say, I found my way into pageants as a way of building my own confidence, and I just want to help other women realize the potential that they have. Every woman is a goddess and deserve to feel like it. We just have to bring it out sometimes, and I find that the sisterhood element of what we have really helps. They really do kind of support each other and spur each other on, and so the vision for me is to continue to be able to see Miss Voluptuous as an empowerment program, in which women can, have a platform and use their voice for their advocacy or their passions and things that they're passionate about. And just continue to reach for the stars, really, which they seem to be phenomenal at.
And if someone wants to apply, and you probably have to break this down into separate countries. So, if someone wants to apply, let's say in Australia versus applying in the UK. So, how do they walk us through the application process?
So it's a little bit. Oh, here she is.
Danielle, don't do that.
Oh no, that's so dangerous. I just want to stop and show a little bit of love for Danielle. She literally. We've not been friends for very long, but I literally can't imagine life without her. She's such a great little motivator, an absolute firecracker is Danielle. So this girl's serious love for her.
Don't say too many nice things about Danielle. I've been saying nice things about Danielle to her this week. I don't want her to, the crown won't fit anymore.
She is humble to the core. I don't think that's even possible. She is a good, honest, humble London girl. So I don't think the ego inflation is even there. I just don't think it's a thing. But in terms of applying, for example, if you are outside of the UK, you can apply at www.missvoluptuouspageants.com. And if you are from the UK, you can apply at www.missvoluptuousuk.co.uk. I didn't think that out very well, did I?
I realized you can change a domain name over if you want to. That can be done.
I feel like I probably should. I think we're there now, aren't we? That's just it's so wordy, and stumble on that a lot. The word voluptuous is a challenge for a lot of people as it is. So remembering the spelling and it's a weird word, isn't it? It's 3 U's in it, yeah.
I don't know. I was going to say, do I know any other words that have 3 U's in it?
But it's apt, it describes a confident, curvaceous woman who is proud of her body and owns being sexy as well. Because that's another thing, like curvy women deserve to feel every bit as gorgeous, as confident, and as sexy as women who maybe don't have curves. And it's not about comparing a straight size body to there you go, it's come out voluptuous, not voluptuous. Yeah, we get that a lot. But it's not about comparing body types. Every body is beautiful, and body positivity is not just for plus size bodies. It is for slim size bodies, short bodies, tall bodies. It's for literally everybody. And I think that's super, super important, that we advocate for body positivity for all bodies, not just plus size bodies. Fantastic. Hi, Galaxy Pageants.
Because hello, Maria. I know that there's been a spate recently, I don't know how recently, but of skinny shaming which is just as bad
No.
as fat shaming. Like
Yeah.
people, like there'll be a young girl, I think she's about 21, 22 on a train, and a guy, it's very often men, an older man looks at her and says that she should eat a burger, but not realizing that she's been through, she used to be overweight, and then she had an eating disorder, became anorexic.
Yeah.
And I just think to be told, people don't realize how impactful that casual judgment can be.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not even going to say that came from a good place because I don't think it does.
No.
But
I
body
think people
positivity, as
think
you
that
say,
they're
is
being
for
funny.
everyone.
Yeah, I think people think that they're being funny, or make off the cuff comments and don't realize how hurtful it is. But I think commenting on someone else's body, it's just bizarre to me. You know, I'm the worst for being like, oh my God, your figure's incredible. But I randomly blurt out compliments to strangers in the street. I'm really weird like that. But you know, to comment on someone's like, oh my God, your outfit's gorgeous, and there are Facebook statuses dedicated entirely to this. I had a conversation outside my house one day with a girl who's just walking past, and I was like, your dress is beautiful, and she stopped and she told me where it was from, where I could buy it from, how much it was on sale. I've got a new friend, it's amazing.
Have you ever done that to a man walking by, and how did the man take it?
I think that would be,
your body looks gorgeous. Okay.
Oh yeah, that might be a little bit predatory. I'd probably avoid that, maybe. As a feminist woman, I can't really advocate for catcalling men. Catcalling's not cool. Don't do that. But yeah, you know, I think the commenting negatively on any size body blows my mind. Why would you do that? It's a very strange thing. And even I've gone through body shaming, and you know, I consider myself to be very average in size and height and everything else. And I grew up being told that, you know, I was built for comfort and not speed. And I remember my mum told me, she took me to a dance school. It was one of the most prestigious dance schools where I lived. And I wanted more than anything to be a ballerina. Now, don't get me wrong, I'm not particularly graceful. I have no rhythm. But the instructor, the director of the dance school, she looked me up and down. I couldn't have been older than maybe 4 or 5. And she said, she'll never dance. She's got the wrong body. And that was the first time I experienced body shaming. I was like 4 or 5. And that's really stuck with me. And, you know, I have a daughter who is 7. And she is shaped very much like I was as a child, except she's much, much taller than I was. She's going to be so tall. But, you know, people think it's okay to say that she's fat, and she's a little girl. She's not fat. She is growing. She's energetic. She is sporty. She is a little girl, and we have to stop this casual body shaming with saying that someone's too thin or someone's too fat. And you know, my son and my daughter are polar opposites of each other. My son is super slim, and my daughter, she's got a good solid build, and that's okay. And both body types are okay. They're changing. They're children. But you know, it's a very common thing, and you know, children are taught from a very young age to think that they are fat, or to think that they need to watch what they eat, and are kind of hyper aware. And I even had a conversation with my children's school a couple of days ago, because my son came home and said, you know, as of January, oh, Catherine, it's the most horrendous dance school experience. I wholly felt that deeply. But my son came home from school and he said, as of January, we're getting our lunch boxes checked to make sure that they're healthy. And it's it's quite, yeah. And so I went a little bit mama bear. I went into the office and I said, I need clarification on this. I need to know what the children have been told. I need to know the reason that they're being told their lunch boxes are being checked. And, you know, the teacher she explained it well enough. They want to make sure they're getting a balanced meal. And I know that, that can be a problem in schools. And that's not usually ignorance of nutrition. That's usually an affordability factor. I think
that's what I mean. It wouldn't work, because if you're going to, then the kid would feel ashamed that they've come from a poor family, that they can't afford a well-balanced, nutritious meal. That's not going to work.
It's, my daughter, she immediately said to me, will I still be able to have a penguin in my lunchbox? And I think that's the same as a Tim Tam.
Tim Tam. It's the worst Tim Tam, but okay.
Can I still have one of those, or will it make me fat? And I feel quite emotional saying that out loud. My 7-year-old is asking me, is that going to make me fat?
Mm.
And I don't understand why. I think there are better ways to approach it. And I do genuinely believe that this is an income problem, not a nutrition problem. This is actually my children's second school, and the first school that they went to, my daughter came home. She said, I had a snack warning today, and I'd got her some, I think it's called Topcorn.
Snack warning?
Yeah. So I sent her into school with a bag of what's called Topcorn, and it's like 90-calorie bag of popcorn, because I like it. And I sent her into school with it, and it was chocolate. But like I say, 90 calories, a completely green wheel on the front of the nutrition wheel. And she was told that she shouldn't have chocolate covered popcorn. And it wasn't chocolate covered. There's like a really sad dusting of cocoa on the popcorn. And then she came home and she said, Mummy, I got a snack warning. She was 6 at the time. She said, but I don't understand, because they sell popcorn in the snack shop. So because she bought it from home and it was chocolate or cocoa popcorn, she'd been told that she wasn't allowed it. So I think there's a lot of work to be done around education with nutrition, and affordability factor absolutely needs to be, there are families, especially where I live in the eastern part of Essex. There is a lot of poverty around where I live. There are, last year I ran a Fuel for School breakfast club that provided children with a breakfast every Wednesday, completely for free, no questions asked, because there are 500,000 children who go to school in the UK every day too hungry to learn, and that's an affordability factor.
How many?
500,000.
500,000 children.
500,000 children are going to school every day in the UK too hungry to learn. And so for me, it was, okay, what can I do? How can I help? I'm one person, but I can help somebody. And for me, that was just setting up a breakfast club. We run it for 8 or 9 weeks, I think it was. Just providing beans on toast, cereals, fruit juice, that kind of thing, just to try and just make some kind of a dent in those numbers. You can't really impact much of a change to those numbers, but you can change something for some children. And
well, you never really know. I think the thing is, you start a spark of something, and you never know who you inspire, who you come across, and I think all the big movements start with one person doing the right thing. So I wouldn't sell yourself short on that one. But that number, that's terrifying. Coming from Australia, 500,000 children that are too hungry to learn. Still, this idea that you're having snack warnings, to me, is absolutely ridiculous. If I was a kid now and someone asked to check my lunchbox, I'd tell them where to go. I don't care to be a teacher. It's none of your damn business, is it? I'll eat what I want to eat, and I'll wear the consequences. So
I think it's important as well to recognise that it's not the children that are, apart from Sharon, who said that she's doomed because her 11-year-old packs her own lunchbox. I think at that age that's fine, but for the most part, kids aren't packing their own lunch. Holly's so good. Kids aren't packing their own lunch. So by humiliating a child by pointing out that actually they haven't got a healthy lunchbox, it's redundant, because the conversation needs to happen with the parents, and that's when the barriers are going to be broken down, where the parents have the opportunity to say, sending them to school with 1 out of a 6-pack of chocolate bars that was, I don't know, 70 pence, and 1 out of a multi-packet of crisps, the cheap budget crisps that was £1 for 12 packets. It's much cheaper than sending one out, an apple out of a bag of 5 that also costs £1, So there's definitely an affordability issue there. And
yeah,
you can talk all the day long about the rise of obesity in children, but you have to get to the cause of it before you can start pointing fingers at the parents.
Yeah, I think that's really well said. It's not. I think the obesity, if there is an issue, it's not often the core issue. There's other reasons around it. Finances, definitely, from what you're saying, is one. I've also said mental health obviously comes into it a lot. If you're not feeling so good about yourself, that can really play into it. And I think the issue with a lot of these sort of well-intended, I don't even know if they're well-intended, but let's say they are well-intended initiatives like snack checking, they completely miss the point. There's absolutely no point shaming a child when they didn't even pack their own lunch. And it's funny because you mentioned that you were shamed at the dance school when you were like 5 or 6. I remember being told when I was 7 or 8 that I threw like a girl by my sports teacher.
Wow.
It's interesting
how like a girl is a bad thing.
Exactly. Wow. And I look at that in so many different ways now, but it's interesting that I remember that, and that's like 30 something years ago, but it still sticks with me to this day. And I'm sure the sports teacher doesn't remember it and probably didn't even mean anything by it back then, because back then it was acceptable to say something like that as an insult. But it stuck with me till now. Like, I'm not cut up by it, but I remember it. So it's interesting. And I do feel for teachers as well, because at least in Australia, they are overworked, underpaid, and they do deal with a lot of crazy parents as well.
Oh, definitely. And I think that is the case. Teachers, I'm a crazy parent, but teachers they're not making this stuff up themselves. The snack checking and the lunchbox checking, that's coming from somewhere. It's not something they're making up on their own. So we have to be a bit forgiving on them. But yeah, the fact that you've mentioned that people who don't feel particularly good about themselves tend to lean for comfort, oftentimes on food. I have been accused so many times, and I'm sure there are a few people watching here. I know Catherine Henry, she's an incredible activist, BOPO activist, and does some amazing things, especially in the plus size sector. She will tell you that anybody who is in the plus size community or industry has been accused of glorifying obesity. And it's such a two-dimensional view, because what we do is try to make people feel good about their bodies, and people who feel good about their bodies and who are confident are more likely to feel confident enough, for example, to go to a fitness class, to go out for a run. That's obviously not why we do what we do. I think that emotional well-being and emotional strength and emotional health is equally important to physical health. And there are a lot of people who pretend to be do-gooders, who raise completely illegitimate and invalid concerns about, that person doesn't look healthy. There is not a lot of research that actually can say that by looking at someone's physical body, you can tell whether or not they're healthy. I know some incredible plus size fitness instructors. My friend Tracy, one of the best people I know, she's completed like beach body workouts time and time again. She completes the whole Shaun T workout. I could never do that. And she's a plus size girl. She's one of the strongest women I know. So these, like you say, well-meaning comments about other people's bodies, people just need to mind their own business, mostly.
Oh, sometimes they're not even well-meaning. Sometimes they're not well-meaning at all. Sometimes they are, but sometimes they're definitely not. We've talked about body positivity because it comes from all sides now. Like, people are shamed for being too skinny, people are shamed for being too big, and it's like, and we're comparing. I don't even know what we're comparing ourselves against, to be honest. I shared an article on my personal Facebook the other day about this Instagram influencer. I think came off a reality TV show, and her Instagram photo was very obviously photoshopped because a staircase in the back had been warped. So even though she looked amazing and everyone thinks she looked amazing, she didn't think she looked good enough to put a photo up on Instagram. So it's really, really sad. And because I'm doing the book at the moment, and one of the questions is, what's the biggest challenge? So many of the women have put comparison, particularly on social media. And that's not just a plus size thing. It's not a skinny thing. It's everyone is doing it.
Yeah.
I think the really dangerous thing is we're comparing ourselves to people who don't even exist. Those people
And
don't look like that.
We're being taught to compare ourselves to others as well. In every single magazine, you're being sold, if you looked like this, your life would be better. If you had better, if you had this expensive makeup palette, your life would be better. If you buy this magical cream, or everything, especially in magazines, women's magazines are the worst. You're being sold something that tells you, if you just, your life will be better, instead of teaching that women, actually, your life is good now, and if it's not good now, you can change it without a miracle cream or a pill or a palette. Or
those things don't work anyway. Anyone who's tried those miracle, lose 20 pounds immediately with no effort, it's like, but the problem is, Natalie, that works. Making someone feel not good enough moves product. If everyone felt good about themselves, there'd be a lot of companies that went out of business, unfortunately.
Yeah, they really would. That's not to say that, you shouldn't buy a palette because putting on makeup makes you feel good about yourself. That's not to say you shouldn't buy a gym membership because working out makes you feel good. I just think that, whatever feels good for you, do it. And don't be fearful of other people's judgment, because that's the only takeaway here. If you want to put on makeup before you leave the house every day, do it. As long as you're doing it for you because you want to, and not because you feel like
not doing it for someone else or doing it for society.
Yeah, exactly that.
Yeah. Okay. Well, that got super deep, super quickly.
It really did, didn't it? Wow.
I don't even know what we're talking about anymore. It boggles my mind, and I've worked with a lot of women, and young women especially, and it's really sad for me when I see them and they don't think they're enough. I mean, that applies to men as well. Men have a slightly different experience, and men are told, like, you shouldn't cry, you're not strong enough, don't be this, don't be that. If you show emotions, it's weak. And so they have an experience quite different, separate to women. We could talk about this for ages, but we should probably move on.
Sure.
Natalie, in terms of, like, we've talked about the Pageant Planner Co, we've talked about you owning your own system. Those separately already to me sound like full-time jobs. So how did you find time to compete in a pageant or represent a pageant yourself? Like, did you really hate your free time that much? You decided, I'll do one myself because...
Well, Royal International Miss is a system that I followed the journey of for a couple of years. It looks absolutely incredible international level. The stage is huge. There are lots and lots and lots of contestants that get involved, and I've been watching girls from the UK compete for a couple of years. I was Sister Queens with Holly Robinson, who is now the director of Royal International Miss UK. We were under the same kind of band of systems, so much like Holly Peary has Incredible Pageant Girl UK that encompasses a couple of different systems. There was another kind of umbrella system that existed a couple of years ago that doesn't now, but we found ourselves Sister Queens, and I think we were competing around about the same time at International, and Holly won her title, and she won that title over maybe 60 or 70 other girls. It was incredibly competitive. Wow. And watching her journey, and she got to go to New York, and she got to go and watch Miss America, and she got to go to the Miss America shoe show. I might have got that completely wrong. And then she went on a cruise, and it just had the most phenomenal year. I started following with a little bit of interest, like, this looks really good. And I was set to compete in 2019, so last year, at the beginning, very, very beginning of last year. And my world kind of started falling apart. I had a lot of, there was a lot of conflict. I was going through something really personal. I was in a really, really bad way. And that was actually to do with Miss Voluptuous. I will be quite honest and say that, we weren't in a very good space. And actually the longevity of the system really was on the line because of a few individuals. And it was a shame. But it really did put me in a bad place. And I withdrew from the competition I was meant to be competing in. And I said, you know what, I was too fearful to compete in this country. I was too fearful to step on a stage. I thought that, you know, when you get into that space where everything seems to be going wrong, you think everybody hates you. Social media is really good for kind of spreading that wildfire, thinking, you know, stirring up some drama. And it happened. And I think it happens to everybody at some point. But it really got to me. And Holly reached out to me. She said, listen, I see what you do. You know, I've been following Q4. I see everything that you do. Why won't you compete for the role model competition at UK level? And I said, you know, I just can't bring myself to do it. You know, the very same reason that I'd withdrawn from the previous competition was I just couldn't bring myself to get on a stage. And she said, okay, well, I want to make you my England role model. And having someone put that level of trust and faith into me was incredible. She gave me the opportunity. She said, you can compete at international in 2020, or you can compete in international for 2021, because in the role model competition at Royal International Miss, they take 2 years of service into account for everything that you've done. So it's not just about like what you've done in your year, it's actually what you've done the year before that. And I think that can tell a much better story of who you are as a whole. You know, we all know that people kind of amp it up when they're competing. When you're going for a competition, of course you're going to have more focus. Of course you're going to do more things. But
I've got no problem with the amping it up. I have a problem with people who fake it. That's what I dislike. You know, when the pageant's over, there's no more charity work, and I'm like, I see you. Continue.
Yeah. No, that's fine. So I think that was the fact that would paint a really clear picture of who someone was as a whole. And knowing that, you know, I looked back through pictures of previous winners and there was no kind of, this is what a winner should look like. And I'm very insecure, even as the director of this system, I'm very insecure about the way I look. I have this deep rooted insecurity. I grew up with a stunning sister, beautiful, gorgeous hair, gorgeous nails, gorgeous face, gorgeous skin, athletic build, phenomenal. So that's kind of like quite deep rooted in me. From a very early age, and the comparison was there from family members. You know, oh yeah, well, you know, you were built for comfort, not speed. Or you're just cuddlier.
Such a horrible thing to say. I mean, it's all right to say about like a panel van, but to say that about a person, that's horrible.
Well, so yeah, I had quite a lot of that, but then I got to look at the winners of Royal International Miss at international level, and I saw that there was a lot of representation. There was a lot of diverse backgrounds, ethnic backgrounds, body types. You know, their advocacies were all very different. There was, you know, winners from all over the world. So it really spoke to me in a way that made me excited to compete again. And I've had, you know, 18 months now to try and heal and move on from what had happened and rebuild that confidence and that strength. And I think it was very important to me, actually. I have a life coach. I will put that out there. A reason that I get through all of the things that I get through and do all the things that I do is I have a phenomenal life coach. And it was actually when everything started kind of going wrong for me last summer. I reached out. She was a pageant sister previously, so I'd known her. I trusted her. She had this incredible vision. And I reached out and I said, Nicole, I really need your help. Everything's going wrong. And she has just the most beautiful way of making everything make sense. And I think everybody needs someone in their life who makes everything make sense. And she became a sponsor for me, a life coaching sponsor for my journey to Royal International Miss. And it was honestly the best decision I ever made. And I've moved on from everything that's happened. And I think that's really important as a person, not just as a pageant girl, that you have to let go of some of the stuff in the past. You don't have to forget about it, but you have to forgive for yourself to move on and have some kind of peace of mind and clarity. So that is what I did with her help. And it seems to have worked because everything is going really well.
I mean, it's life. Like the journey of life is such that, you know, something will come back up. I can promise you that much. then you just hope that you deal with it better than you did last time. That's been my experience. But
Yeah,
2020 for myself has had some parallels to what you just described. I won't go into the details, but
sure.
it's not all roses and sunshine all the time.
Mhm.
And that's
Yeah,
not to say anything about pageantry. People get it
no,
wrong. It's like it's
I
life.
think it's
It's people.
any community, any industry.
Yeah,
Yeah,
exactly.
yeah,
And I think it's just important. It comes back to like age-old wisdom, what we're told as children anyway. It's like if you
Mhm.
can't say anything nice, don't say anything at all.
Yeah,
And sometimes those sorts of like childhood wisdom, it's just
yeah,
remember that. I think sometimes we forget about it and get caught up in the drama of it all. And
yeah. It's like
2020,
the call out culture and the cancelled culture, and it can start as something so minor and it just snowballs into something entirely untrue, and it gets out of hand and goes wild. So yeah,
yeah.
for me it's just like, can we stop, can we cancel culture? It's gross. Just gonna have a look at some comments if that's okay.
Oh, you got loads of them. You got people
Oh,
saying
nice.
all nice stuff about
Sharon,
you.
so Sharon Shulver, you found yourself some firefighters in the end too, honestly. So I've got 4 country title holders for Miss Voluptuous and a lifetime queen, and I couldn't have asked for better. I have Sharon, Aisha, Kelly, and Rian, and I have Lauren, who's my lifetime queen, and they are just so incredible, and they really did. They were a massive pillar of strength for me when I was going through it a little bit, because obviously when I'm going through it emotionally, I have 30 other people to think about, and 5
Mm,
queens to think about, and it was kind of like, how do I be strong for them? And they really did kind of come together and like, come on, we got this. And I,
yeah.
it takes a village to raise a child, and the inner child needed some raising. So yeah, like I said right at the beginning of this interview, the pageant contestants at Miss Voluptuous have changed my life in ways that I couldn't even begin to explain. And they, in a lot of ways, saved me from myself even. And to them, I am eternally grateful. Oh, thank you, Tracy. You are an amazing role model as well.
There are a lot of comments, Natalie. I'll let you go back after this and reply to
Yeah,
each one of them individually. That I'm sure they're going to keep coming in. Yeah.
oh, amazing. That's so kind. Oh, thank you so much, everyone. How lovely.
It's gotten really deep and emotional in here.
Yeah,
Let's
it's quiet in here, isn't it?
let's ruin that tone by moving
Shall we?
towards the end. Yeah,
Okay.
let's go for it. All right. Any shout outs that you want to do? I mean, you've said thanks to a lot of people, but any particular shout outs and thanks you want to give before we move to the final 10?
Yes, let's go for a massive thank you to Nicole Bozeman of Crystals, Diamonds and Pearls. She is my life coaching sponsor, and she is just the most phenomenal individual. Go and like her page, show her some love. Massive thank you to every contestant of Miss Voluptuous since day one. I hold nothing but love in my heart for all of them, regardless of what they might think. Massive thank you to my queens. Yeah, that's a whole
Uh-huh.
different story, but a massive thank you to my queens, past, present, and future, and all across the world. And to the people that have genuinely believed in me, my business, my pageant, to Holly, who has been, my cheerleader from day one, just everybody who has waved their pom-poms for me over the last few years. It's a lot. It's a lot of people to try and get through. I hope I haven't forgotten anybody, but of course, my other half and my children, they are excellent. And that support really starts at home. I'm very lucky to have that as well.
Okay. Final 10. Are you ready?
Oh God, no, I don't think I am.
Well, you better be, because here we go.
Okay.
10 questions to wrap up. Number 1, what's your favorite word?
I don't know. Favorite word, like just my most used word, or my favorite word ever?
With that favorite word ever.
Oh, I've got no idea. Forest. There we go. We'll go for forest.
Actually, remember, you and Emma Collingridge have asked me these questions. So
yeah,
you
I'm sorry. I should have known. I'll shout out to Emma and Kim while I'm here. Shout out to Emma and Kim. I love them so much. They're the best.
Yeah, Emma's okay.
Oh.
Number 2.
Okay, question number 2. Let's go.
To say, when Emma was over, I had this picture of who I thought Emma was after I interviewed her. I have to say, when she came over here and some of the stuff she was doing, like in a good way, but it's just like, I didn't know you were like that. Like when I got lapped at go-karting.
She's a multifaceted diamond, ultimately.
She's all right. Question 2. What's your least favourite word?
Oh, God. Gusset is my least favourite word.
What's gusset?
Okay, so a gusset envelope, for example, could be an envelope that, like, it stretches, or it could be the cotton part on the inside of your pants is called a gusset as well.
Question 3. Question 3. I'm going to give you the version that I never give anyone of question 3 because I have to explain it, but I'm just going to give you the actual version, which is question 3, what turns you on?
Okay. Obviously, I know the meaning of this. I know the question of this, and I'm sure that you're not asking me personal questions that I wouldn't like to answer.
No, but I had to start explaining it because people would go, "Are you talking in like, you know?" And it's like, no. It's just, anyway.
Well, I've asked you this question, so I know. Things that get me excited about life: women supporting women, people who care about issues outside of their own existence. And that's a broad range of people, but that is what gets me excited in life. People who aren't afraid to stand up for issues that don't affect them. That's what a role model does, to be honest with you. But yeah.
I agree with that. Do with more of that.
Yes.
Question 4. What turns you off?
Oh, okay. What turns me off? People who are bitchy, bullies, gossip, just people who are mean. Like, don't be mean. Don't be horrible to people. We're all a bit broken. We're all trying to heal here. Don't be horrible. Don't be mean. Don't go out of your way to make someone else feel bad. There's no need for that. That's what turns me off entirely. That doesn't just turn me off. That shuts me down.
I think the people who are nasty to each other are the most broken of everyone.
Oh, definitely.
You don't tear people down if you're happy with yourself. It just doesn't make sense. Question 5. What sound or noise do you love?
Oh, I love this. Okay, so when going back to my favourite word, forest, I love trees. Like, some people have a thing about water, and being around water makes them feel really calm, and the sound of water. For me, it's the sound of trees, whether it's birds in the trees, the wind blowing through the trees, anything that is to do with trees, forests, woodland. Oh, I love it. It's where I'm at home. I just want to take off my shoes and like be barefoot in the forest. That would be the dream for me.
I know you don't want to come to Australia because of the podcast. There's a tree here.
I do want to come to Australia. I'm just being a bit of a wimp about it.
Just so you know, the saying is everything in Australia is trying to kill you, including the trees, because there's a tree here called the gum tree, the eucalyptus tree, which the koalas eat.
Yeah.
They are very, very tall, right? Just one long trunk. And then at the top are these really long, very spear-like branches that can be 20, 30 feet long. To give you an idea, one fell on my car and smashed it when I wasn't in it. I was coaching at the time, and then bang, and the kids said, "Ha ha, your car's been crushed." I was like, "Thanks, kids." But those branches, because that's the way that tree reproduces, and it often happens during bushfires. So bushfire is actually part of the reproductive cycle for this tree.
Yeah.
If that falls on you, it will end you. So if you are blissing out in the middle of an Australian forest and you hear a crack, don't keep meditating. Run.
Okay.
Because it will not end well for you. Okay.
Right. I mean, is there a better way to go than in a forest, being killed by actual nature itself with a big tree?
Yeah.
I mean, probably.
Not going.
That went really dark for a minute there, didn't it? Yikes.
That's not one of the questions. How would you like to die? That's not one of the questions.
I mean, I don't think I'd like to, but yeah, sure.
I'm going to live forever. Question 6. What sound or noise do you hate?
Oh, the sound of people chewing, I can't stand it. It makes me aggressive. I'm quite a chill. I'd like to think I'm quite a chill person. I'm very much the personification of peace and love and sparkles and hugs and sunshine and stuff. But if you chew near me and I hear you chewing, I can't be responsible for my actions. I'm sorry, I can't. Something's going to happen and it's going to be completely involuntary. Thank you. Thank you for that question.
I'm picturing physical violence here. But...
Yeah, no, definitely. I'm going to be raging. Yeah, please don't.
Good to know. So when I fly over to the UK next and I see you, I'm going to
literally chew really loudly with your mouth open and make it sound as wet as possible.
Wet, moist. And going over and over, and you can just picture the food going over and over in your mouth and being ground up by the teeth, and then the tongue is all
nice. Yeah, beautiful.
Yeah. Yeah. See, the only reason why I do all these interviews is to find out what drives people nutty, so when I see them I can inflict it on them. That's the honest truth. So glad I did this interview. Question 7.
Can't wait.
If you could have any one superpower, what would it be?
Time travel. History geek, big history geek, massive history geek. Everybody who knows me knows that I love history. I just love it. But also, I lost my dad when I was really young. I was 15, and whilst I know that you can't alter the events of history, ultimately, a lot of who I am today came from healing from that and learning to grow around grief. And you can't change big events like that in history, but I would want to spend just more time with him. He was absolutely my favorite person in the whole world. So it would be time travel for me, because I think we can learn a lot about the future from the past. And I've said a lot of times, which is what I tell people not to do. So I'm going to stop. Yeah, so it would definitely be time travel for me, and for the reasons stated. We can learn a lot about the future from the past, and history geeking, love it.
Sounds good. Guys, I can see a load of comments. I'm just ignoring them for now so we can get through the final 10. I will circle back to them at the end of the final 10. I can just see there's 23 comments I haven't read. Question 8. What job or occupation other than your own would you most like to attempt?
I did once have a desire I actually went as far as final interviews to join the British Army, which I think people will find really shocking about me. I completed my interviews. I was pre-physical fitness assessment, and then I bust my knee and needed surgery, complete corrective surgery. So that was a kind of dream that was dead in the water for me. So it would perhaps be pursuing that route, but I think ultimately the biggest dream for me would be a casting director for the Disney Corporation. I mean, there are a lot of comparisons that you can draw between being a pageant director and being a casting director, not even necessarily for Disney, but being a casting director for film and TV would be phenomenal. Anything really that's quite creative is really my jam. So, or the next Philippa Gregory, maybe, who is an incredible historian and novelist. So I like to write, I like to read. There's just a lot of things that I like to do. There's a million things that I would want to do if I was given the opportunity to do anything. All of them are creative. So yeah, a wedding planner. I've actually been a wedding planner. Amy Louise has said wedding planner. I was a wedding planner for 2 years, and I ended up becoming a wedding stylist instead, because I didn't get the calls at 2:00 in the morning asking me what texture of napkins I thought would be best for the reception when I was a stylist. So, yeah. Sorry for the
Question 9. What job would you definitely not like to attempt?
I would never be a doctor, a nurse, or a vet. And because I'm just too sensitive. I'm too sensitive. I cry at everything. And I think that doctors and nurses and veterinarians, surgeons, anyone who works in that profession is just so emotionally strong and inspirational, because it's just not something I think I could do. I would go into blind panic in an emergency situation. I'm too sensitive. Too sensitive. I used to have a job working for child protection and family support, and I lasted about 3 weeks.
Wow.
No.
Not the industry for you, I don't think.
No, definitely not. No. I'm still trying to recover from that. So it's a lot. And I think anyone who's able to put themselves on the line and do a job like that deserves endless applause, not just every Thursday at 8:00 on your doorstep. So the people of the UK will know exactly what I'm talking about.
I know what you're talking about as well. I've seen the posts. I follow the news. Final question: if heaven exists, what would you like to hear God say when you arrive at the pearly gates?
Welcome. Mostly, definitely not. You got the wrong bus.
You're going down there.
Like, this isn't the place for you, but don't worry, where you're going is quite warm.
You might like that coming from the UK. I don't know. That might sound like a really great idea. I'll take that.
Yeah, warm, eternal warmth. I think I would want, if heaven exists, I would want God to say, they've been waiting for you. And I can't really say much more than that because I'll cry. But that's what I would want to hear. Definitely.
Let me quickly go through, God, the 32 comments. Oh, geez. All right. What have I missed out on? Poppy, Jobby, Phoenix, chocolate roll. Oh, I think people were talking about your favorite words, and Lisa, someone's put moist. Manipulation, the sound of rain. Everyone at home has been answering the question. This is amazing. Erg you, Tudor wedding planner. Can't say I've ever had those 4 comments in a row before. Nurse, awesome.
Tudor would be in reference to history. Sharon shares my love of history. She is actually participates in medieval reenactment. That is a very interesting hobby. Yeah, really interesting. Incredible. She's the most interesting person to talk to if you've got a passion of history like I have. So I'll just talk to her all day about it. It's amazing.
Okay. Well, we have covered a lot of topics.
Yes, we have.
Some shallow, some not so shallow. But Natalie Carley, thank you so much for your time.
Thank you so much for having me, and a huge thanks to everybody who has taken the time to comment as well. Really appreciate it. And
can you run us through one more time the web addresses for the Pageant Planner and Voluptuous, please?
thepageantplannerco.com, www.missvoluptuouspageants.com, and missvoluptuousuk.co.uk. I've got to change that, Adrian. It's got to go.
After saying it now in the interview, like, I can't say this.
Yeah, you say it out loud and you think that sounds absolutely mad, doesn't it? Absolutely mad.
Okay. All right, guys. Look, thank you so much for watching. Natalie, I'll keep you on the line for just a sec whilst I hang up with the audience. But we will speak to you next time.
Thank you so much.
Hey, it's Adrian again. Hope you enjoyed this episode. Remember to head over to pageantlaunch.com to join the launch team for our pageant review site. All you have to do is enter your email address. It's completely free. And if you enjoyed this episode, make sure to share it with your friends and follow us on all our socials. Thanks, and see you next time.